So let's get right into it. My friends, welcome to Acosphere Instagram Live. Bonjour à tous ceux qui nous rejoignent. Good afternoon to everybody who's joining us. This session will be in English. Cette session sera en anglais. S'il y a des francophones qui ne comprennent pas tout ce qui est dit, n'hésitez pas à me mettre un message et je traduirai tout ou partie de ce que Fary partage avec nous. So, without further ado, Fary Ndao, our guest today, is a Senegalese engineer and writer, says his biography. I'm going to say he is a slammer at the beginning. That's how I got to meet him. He's also an engineer indeed, and he's a writer. He's one of the co-author of the collective work Polissez-vous, and has published L'Or Noir du Sénégal as a first book, an essay popularizing oil and gas in Senegal, as well as very recently, Le Dernier des Arts. I will tell no more because Fary will tell us himself about his background. I think it's better that way. Fary, officially welcome to Acosphere Instagram Live. We're delighted to have you today.
I am more than delighted to be here, Gilles. Very, very happy. I think.
Thank you.
Yes, just let me switch on the Wi-Fi network. This one will be better, I guess. Yes, so
okay.
It's more perfect. So very happy to be here, and happy to answer to your question and start the discussion.
Very good, very good. So let me get right into it. As I said a minute ago, among other things, you have a versatile number of talents. You are the author of 2 books, L'Or Noir du Sénégal et Le Dernier des Arts. So Fary, broaden up things and tell us your story.
I mean, I'm just, I would say, a regular guy who is curious. I am trying to explore my curiosities to the fullest. For example, when I decided to write a book about oil and gas back in 2012, I was just 24 years old, still a student, but I wanted to share what I know, the little I know about oil and gas, and I wanted the book to be technical. But I matured the project, and I knew that I didn't have what it takes actually at that time. So I perfected my craft, got my diploma, worked a little bit, and then due to the fierce debate that was rising in Senegal, I decided to write this book. And I published it back in 2018. Now I am more writing fiction novels. That's why I wrote this book called Le Dernier des Arts, The Last of the Arts. And it's a political fiction because one of my other passions is politics, due to the fact that it shapes our life. It defines the way we live collectively as a society. And I am very, very inclined to those topics. And I decided actually to switch from an essay to a novel because I think that I was lacking maybe credibility to write as a dominant figure on politics, which I'm not. So I decided to switch to novel, to the fiction, because everyone is allowed or free to write some fiction. But I decided to do it properly. That's why I studied very in detail theory about fiction. I wrote. I've been reading more than 30 fiction books in the last 3 years. Way more than what I've read in my first 30 years on Earth, let's say. and now, this is just me exploring things. Poetry also was something that I explored extensively during my 20s, and now I am more inclined in writing novels. I think I'm gonna write a second one, But on my daily life, I'm an engineer working for the National Oil and Gas Company of Senegal, which is also another way for me to help the others, to show my commitment to public duty. And this is, I think, the defining, let's say, infrastructure, mental infrastructure for me. It is to serve. So whether I do it by sharing thoughts in the forms of books, or just working for the public sector, yeah.
Okay, so let me delve right into your first book. Just a couple words about it for those who may not have read it. You explore Senegal's emerging oil and gas industry, as you mentioned, emphasizing its potential to transform the country while highlighting the risk of mismanagement, corruption, and environmental harm. The book combines technical analysis and reflections on governance and social justice, questioning whether Senegal can avoid the resource curse that is around oil and gas generally. So I have a couple questions for you. How do you envision and maybe some questions you cannot answer. So I understand this is also your job, so let me know if I'm going too far. But how do you envision Senegal avoiding the resource curse while maximizing oil and gas benefits?
Things are to be done in order to get there. First of all, I think we might acknowledge what have been done in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. We've been updating our law framework, which is modernizing our Petroleum Industry Act, modernizing the Environmental Act of Senegal, creating affiliates of the National Oil and Gas Company, which is Petrosen. We created different affiliates, one which is Petrosen Exploration and Production, which is the core of oil and gas industry, exploration and production. And we also created Petrosen Trading and Services, where I work actually. And its job is to grow into the trading industry, because we will be more and more becoming a trading country, exporting LNG, which is liquefied natural gas, or just natural gas, or oil, crude oil, but also petroleum products. We have been importing petroleum products for a long time, but now we hope that we will create do an extension of our refinery, which is SAR, and go from 1.5 million ton per annum of capacity to something like let's say 4.5 million ton per annum of capacity of refining. But aside from this updating of our law framework, I think that things are still to be done. We still need to reinforce our workforce. Our workforce today is still to grow in quality and quantity, because we face giants, the likes of BP, Woodside, which is not such a big company, but it is a big company though. And you know, today I think as for Petrosen, we're around 300 people, which is a national oil and gas company. I just came back from Algiers, and Sonatrach, which is our equivalent in Algeria, but Sonatrach is a giant too. Sonatrach is 120,000 employees.
Yes.
We are 300. But Sonatrach has been working in this domain for the last 60 years. So we are not yet. We're not there yet, sorry, but we need to have a clear path strategically for the national oil company to become at least a more solid counterpart for the international oil companies like BP and stuff. I think we need to reinforce and keep reinforcing our communication and collaboration with our brothers and sisters from Mauritania, because we share a common, a joint gas field, which is GTA, Grand Tortue Armée. And this gas field will mainly be an exporting gas field with liquefied natural gas, LNG, and will also serve our domestic markets, both countries. So we need to adjust in order to have one voice when we're addressing the IOCs, international oil companies like BP or Cosmos Energy. But internally, I think we have to sustain the debate. You know, it has been proven by research paper that countries where people debate even fiercely about the natural resources are countries where the management of those resources tend to be better. We don't have to consider that these resources are just managed by an elite formed by the likes of Fary Ndao and co. No. The Constitution of Senegal, which has been updated back in 2016, says the following at the Article 25.1: the natural resources belong to the people, and it has to be exploited at the benefit of their wealth and also sustainably for the environment. That's the article in our Constitution. So it's not even a gift that the population might give to the likes of Petrosen or the ministry or even the president. We all need to get involved. The press, the civil society, citizens, technicians, and this is how, in my opinion, on top of the reforms, the let's say the ambition to help Petrosen grow with the proper human resources, that's how we will get into the position where we can avoid the natural resource curse. That's my let's say my conviction.
Very good, very good. Thank you. I had other questions on your first book, but I don't want to focus on that. So I'm going to move on, except that there's somebody who's Tafasi, who's asking a question that's relevant. So I'm going to pose it. What would be a reasonable time horizon to build, grow technical capacities of the nationals in Senegal for petrol and gas?
Okay, thank you, Tapa, for asking this question. I think we have a reasonable time, but also we have, let's say, a compulsory time. We need to grow those capacities quickly because things are moving. Discoveries have been made, projects are being launched, and we need to quickly catch up. I'm not saying that we're not at the level of these guys. No, I mean we have a lot of quality in the administration. A lot of very good people, very competent, has been recruited in the last 7-8 years, including juniors who have been formed from the National Oil and Gas, let's say, school or institution of Senegal. And this National Oil and Gas School is in partnership with the French National Oil and Gas School. So we received the exact same curriculum as the likes of BP or stuff, but it's not enough. And for me, let's say, to be straightforward, in the next 5 years, we need to reinforce very, very strongly our national company, but also the ministry, the customs, the Ministry of Finance. We need the regulator, which is supposed to control, set the price of natural gas on the national territory, but also the price of transport for this gas. All these things we need to let's say help the current civil servants in order for them to grow with certificates and the likes of certificates, but also we need to go abroad and bring back home all the talents we have over there in big national oil companies like the likes of Aramco, but also in international oil companies like Total, Exxon, Shell, etc. So for me, it is in the next 5 years, and three main targets: the juniors, the Senegalese who are abroad, and also help the current civil servant to grow with certificates.
Very good, thank you. So we won't delve more into your first book. I'll get into your second book in a little while, but you know, the thing that is of interest to me about your background is I remember I met you at a common friend's house in Poirot, if you remember, a few years ago. And at the time you were slamming, and actually you're one of the first slammers that I met. And you were so good at it. I really loved it. And I discussed with you about poetry and what poetry actually brings to life. What's your view on poetry? Tell us a little bit why you like it and what's there. And you may be wanting to touch on slamming as well.
I mean, you know, I grew up in an environment where poetry was present due to my big brother, Hassan, who is also a guy working in oil and gas. He's a logistics specialist, but he was a big fan of rap. And for me, rap music is poetry. When you hear the likes of Nas, Missy Elliott, here in Senegal, I don't know, Awadi, Nongodi, now the likes of Deep Dundugis, all those guys are poets. In France, you can say, of course, Kerry James, Kenny Arcana. And this is how I met poetry, with rap music. But growing up, I also met the classical form of poetry with the likes of Senghor, for example. We learned his poems back in school, and at one point, I think it's when I went to France, I started writing texts, thinking more about rap music, but I quickly, I think due to Abdel Malik or Grand Corps Malade in that time, it was back in 2006, and I was like, this is very interesting. This is not classical poetry. Slam is not classical poetry, but it's not also rap music, you know. And I took a dive in it, and I loved it, actually, being on stage performing. But in general, I think poetry is a way to soften life. I think life is tough enough. Life is complicated enough for us to not to be only in, you know, hard sciences or just trying to get money to buy stuff. I think poetry is suspending the flow of time. It's a way for us to be able to look at life from a side, you know, to look at things differently, because it gives you both for the writer and for the person who receives the poems, I mean, another view of things, with the metaphors, the images that you can employ, the way you can play with the sounds, you know. When we speak, we don't often hear the same sound repeating again, which is an assonance, and this is very strong, and it creates like little explosions in your mind, and I think this is it helps you soften life, and it helps you look at life from another perspective, because there are poets who are geniuses, just like Mallarmé, Aimé Césaire, or Senghor also is excellent, and yes, and the different rappers that I mentioned, Kendrick Lamar is a big poet. Who can say else?
Definitely, and he just had an amazing battle. I'm not going to comment more about it, but he comes out with flying colors, and you know, we won't mention the other one, but those who do it know who I'm referring to. But anyhow, I really hear you, and I have the same sensitivity to poetry. Another one that I would mention is Baudelaire, and I think he had an amazing and was able to get us outside of the traditional way of thinking and in touch with what's really the most beautiful in human beings. And so poetry really stirs you up. Even poetry of Snoop Doggy Dogg also stirs you up when you listen to it. So tell me about yourself. When I think of you and your brand, I think of I always think of you as a young man. You may not consider that you're still that young, but I think of you as a young man. I think of you as somebody who is friendly, very humble, very. So I was surprised by the fact that you said that you read only 30 books until the age of 30. I think you read a few more. I think you're humble there too. But somebody who's very well educated and very well read. When you have conversations, when I have conversations with you, these are some of the things that strike me. Tell us more about your brand and who you are, who you're portraying. I know you're very authentic. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're yourself. So tell us about your brand.
Yeah, I would just pick up from where you stopped. I mean, I would not even consider a brand talking about me. I would say I'm just me, you know. Of course, I have some exposition. People can be interested in what I say or do, so they can follow me. But I am just the same regular guy from Norfois, from Mariste, from Lyon. The people who know me the same way that I've been for the last 20 years. I've not changed. And so who am I? I mean, I think I'm a friendly guy. I usually have easy contact with people I don't know. If if there's a mediator between me and the people that I newly meet, I'm happy to meet them thanks to the mediator, because I know that, for example, when I meet you, thanks to Amadou, you know, this is, I know Amadou is a good person. So if you are bound to Amadou, and so am I, so we should be bound together, you know. This is my philosophy in life. And yes, I have been educated in a family where humility is something that we don't consider as a weakness. I think being humble just is the normal thing to do, or the normal way to behave. But also it helps you. I mean, in life, when you respect people and you don't want to brag about what you did or who you are or where you come from or the studies you've done, people just consider you as a human being. And I think this is the most powerful way to get in touch with other people, is just to take away all your costumes and other things that you are, and interact with them just as a human being, you know, and have a true interest in what they do and who they are. And I'm trying, but it's more and more difficult to be, you know, to answer to solicitations, to people sending messages, etc. Sometimes people are mad because you don't answer to their messages on time, but I always apologize. I'm not like, yeah, you know, I have too much message to answer. Consider yourself lucky if I don't answer to you. No, I'm just like, oh, sorry, I didn't have time. I'll do better next time, etc. And usually it helps. It helps calming down, you know, my interaction. But yeah, I am that guy. Humble, I guess. Even if, of course, given maybe the ambitions that I have in life regarding politics or intellectual production, of course, you have to be driven by some self-belief, you know, and self-belief, if you don't watch it carefully, it can become like a strong battle of ego. But I think that I am controlling that still, And I hope that my relatives and close friends and big brothers like you, if they feel that I am drifting away from the Fary they know, they will tell me, my boy, you need to get back on track, you know. Yes, and yeah, yes, be just a normal guy. One thing in particular, this is control. I have to admit it. My personal life, my family life, I don't expose it on social networks because I know that if you receive attacks, which already happened with me due to some position ideas that I expressed or opposition that I wanted to be clear. If you expose them, they can be collateral damage, you know. So I protect this part of me. I don't post, you know, pictures of me, my friends, of my wife, or whatever. So I tend to be, and growing up, I tend to be more and more private, let's say. But I still remain reachable, available, and ready to exchange with people in a respectful manner. And I think respect is very important. And yeah, so this is just me, me being me.
Thank you for this wonderful description of you. Humbleness at heart is really something I can relate to when I think of you. A couple of questions still about you in general for people to get to know you better before we delve into your second book. You must have had ups and downs in life, and you travel a fair amount. So two questions in one. Maybe you want to share with us some of the experiences that you've had and how you've been able to bounce back when you were down, maybe even morally or just from a business standpoint, or you weren't in the job that you wanted, things of the kind. But at the same time, how much emphasis do you put on culture and on respecting the culture, whether you're in Senegal or as you were this past week in Mauritania or in Algeria?
Okay. I mean, like you said, I've had my fair share of setbacks in life in general. There have been personal setbacks. I got a divorce, for example, which is never easy, but bounced back from that. Got engaged again, and I have to say it. I have an excellent relationship with my ex-wife, which is a wonderful person. If now I am engaged with my wife, and I love her, of course. But I also have to say that I've had a little doubts about my capacity to deliver. You know, when you're an intellectual, and I think I am one. Because I produce ideas, I write things, I confront my ideas with people. You can quickly be imprisoned in a chamber of theory. You know, you just are in line with your ideas. You find them, coherent, and then you say, okay, I'm good at saying things or expressing ideas or having debates, but are you good at delivering? If you have a project to do, can you, from inception to the end, do the job? Do you accept the part of work that doesn't give you the light, that doesn't show you to people, and you have to accept it and write and work and deliver things? And I've had those doubts when I set my first venture, which didn't work correctly, and I tried to bounce back from that. And I think I managed to do it thanks to people also around me. So I think this helped me a lot, because now I know that if I put the correct amount of work into something, I am able to deliver. And this was very important for me to know, to be sure of that. I had those doubts once upon a time. And now, yeah, about culture. Now let's come to culture. Of course, being also a person who is interested in culture and who wants to make culture grow by producing myself artifacts of cultures, books, poems, or whatever. I value culture a lot, and for me, culture is way beyond folklore, which is the happy part and the colorful part of culture. I'm very happy wherever I go to explore or to see what the culture is. Even if I have to admit, for my professional activities, when I go somewhere, I willingly restrain myself from visiting the places, etc. I don't know if I'm too much, but when I go somewhere for professional reasons, I stay on the professional side. I don't go to visit places, etc. I do it very, very rarely. But I'm very, very curious. I read books. I have had travels where I met different cultures. I've been lucky enough to do my high school in Cour-Sainte-Marie de Anne, where different culture met, and also being a student in France. First, when I went after my high school diploma, and then second, it was 4 to 5 years ago when I went back to do my my Master of Science in Energy Economics. I was in a class of 35 people with 20 nationalities. So it was an explosion of diversity, you know, and it was something that I really, really enjoyed, talking to people coming from other parts of the world, different beliefs, different way to cook, different way to solve problems, and it also help you, not become or stay or be self-centered. And this is, I think, something that I am learning more and more, and I want to learn that until my last breath.
Excellent. We'll come back to your stories, but let me delve a little bit into your second book. We've spoken about the first one. The second book, recently published, has been welcomed by the market with flying colors. The Dernier des Arts. So Fary delves into the complexity of political engagement in West Africa, in the West African context. The story, which is fictional, follows an author, CB, a presidential candidate, as he navigates the treacherous landscape of a political campaign, confronting personal and familial challenges that test his commitment and integrity. Fary offers an intimate portrayal of the sacrifices and moral dilemmas inherent in the pursuit of power. I'm not going to summarize it more. I'm just going to go to some quotes. In the book, you say, and I'm going to make the quotes in French, la politique n'est pas et n'a jamais été une question rationnelle. Elle n'est en définitive qu'une affaire de tripes et de cœur. C'est peut-être mieux ainsi. You say also, sans ego, il est impossible de survivre dans cet environnement aux frontières de la mafia où les ambitions profondes et démesurées s'érodent et s'écrasent, parfois s'engloutissent ou se heurtent dans une tectonique d'une violence inouïe. Quelques citations, some quotes from your book. Tell us more about your book, please.
Okay. So the book, Le Dernier des Arts, is let's say the result of an obsession. I am obsessed with this because, as I told you earlier, it shapes our lives. it shapes the way we make society. The choices of the people who lead us are definitely crucial to our current lives and to our future too, so the lives of our children. And I think in Africa we have to do better. So to be frank, I envision myself into politics, being engaged or being a part of the political game. And I think as Mugarsa, our stellar Goncourt Prize winner, says, you know, when you read books, it is just a way for you, I think, novels in particular, to not give answers to your questions or to your internal inquiries, but it's a way to ask more precise questions to yourself. It's a way to refine the problem or the obsession that you have. And this book for me is or was a way to refine those obsessions. If you get into politics, would politics change you? Do you think that you're exceptional and you won't go down the road that other went down already? Do you think that in front of strong moral dilemmas, would you be strong enough to resist, to get the best out of you and keep being the person you think you are? All of these questions were, let's say, floating in my head. And I had this sensation that I had to deepen them, to go further into those questions. And I think that is the reason why I managed to go the distance and finish this book. It took me 2 years to write it, which is long. It asks permanent commitment. You have to be very, very concentrated, not distracted. Try to fight against our natural, let's say, tendency to procrastinate, to abandon projects that we start. But as I told you also, I know that now when I decide to do something, I can deliver. So this is very important for me, and that's what I managed to do with this book. But it was not easy. You know, when I say that I haven't read more than even 10 novels before I started writing this one, and it's true. I was a big novel reader. I mean, people can read 30 or 40 novels in a year, but it was not, and it is still not my case. But when I decided to write one, I did my homework. I know that I had to read more and more novels in order to understand what the object of novel was, how novels are built, just simple things. How do you introduce dialogues in a novel, you know? But also I learned a lot about novel theory. I listened to masterclass, to academic courses, to scenario courses. I read books about novelists writing about their art. Jack London, for example. I read a book from him called My Job is to be a Writer, I guess. George Orwell too. Why Do I Write? Milan Kundera, The Art of the Novel. Yeah, and all this helped me develop I think my grasp on what a novel was or is, and it helped me deliver this project. And I'm very happy the way that people are receiving it, and some people also told me that it helped give them a new nuance of what politics is, or what the political commitment is. And I think this is the aim of every novel, is to portray life in nuances of gray, you know. Life is not black and white, or true and false. And I think that myself, having written this novel to precise where I will be able to do those nuance or those trade-offs with myself. I think so now from the critics I receive, I think I also have managed to pass that to the readers, and I'm very humbled and very happy the way that they talk about the book, and I hope that this will carry on.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing how you actually came to write the book and read books, also just to educate yourself in some ways. It made me think of this quote of André Gide that says, "On n'est jamais profondément nouveau." And so somewhere getting ideas from other novelists is a good thing to do as a writer. How does your key character, CB's journey, reflect the broader challenges faced by individuals in positions of power within the region, you know, in the whole of the African region, or even in the world, actually, if you have a perspective on this?
Yes. CB, which is the protagonist, the main character of this book, is a kind of an idealist, you know. He thinks that politics can change everything or change the life of people. And he is sincere in his commitment to the people. But politics is also a game. It asks you to respect the rule of the game that you engage in. And he qualifies for the second round of a presidential election, and he's facing the incumbent, which is a president, a female president. Everything is possible in a fiction, and we're in Francophone Africa.
Yeah.
In a mix of Senegal and Mali. I didn't want to precise which country, or it was just an imaginary country, and I will say later why. And CB is facing, during the campaign of the second round, a moral dilemma. Someone from his team does something that may help him or help them win, but it also contradicts their moral ground. And here is the thing. You want to help people. You want to do the greater good for people. But in order to achieve that, you may, you probably may have to let some part of yourself down the road. And for me, this is the big question of politics, but not only of politics, of life. In marriage, we all do trade-offs. Working with colleagues, sometimes we don't agree or on some topics or the way we should do things. But you know, if you always want to stick to your ground, or always want to be pure morally, you may not get in a position where you can help people. This is the big question that I'm asking. And I think many leaders, both female and male around the world, face those questions. In Senegal, for example, you know, we saw recently some politicians having very harsh arguments between them, but formally they were allies. So sometimes you become the ally of someone that you know that you don't like, or you don't even have the same ideas, but it is for a purpose. People outside politics can say, no, but this is not morally just or whatever. But if you want to be morally pure, I mean, be a priest, be an intellectual. An intellectual can and have to be radical. Politics just like novels, politics is the space of nuance.
Yes.
Otherwise, uh, you, I'm not sure that you will get where you want to get. And this is something that I wanted to at least to dig in, even if I don't give a definitive or final answer to that.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you were saying earlier that a lot of the things that we are confronted to as leaders, as managers, as politicians, are in the zones of gray, and in some cases, people are completely on either on black or white, to just use that expression. But in this field, it's the nuances that that makes a difference, and you challenge constantly with your moral conduct and your morality and your integrity. But I have one more question on this. But there is one of the attendees who is asking, who's saying, congratulations, where can we find the book? She just jumped on the call, besides Amazon, where I believe you can find it.
Yes, if you are abroad, particularly in France or in the US, you can buy the book on Amazon. In France, you can also buy it on Fnac, Decitre, etc. In Senegal, you can buy it in all the bookstores, like 80, L'Harmattan, Plume du Monde, and also you can order it online and get it delivered at home. Yeah, so I think this is the places where you can get the book for now. I hope that an English translation will be maybe on the way in the next months to come. But I am still trying to get it adopted, to get the book adopted by my natural French, let's say, readers, and maybe among them one reader will do the connection with English speaking publishers. But I think that for now the book is having a very good traction, and I'm very humbled and happy about it.
Excellent, excellent. So one last question: what message do you hope the reader takes away regarding the ethical dilemma inherent into political life?
I think for that you will have to go down the reading of all the book, and at the end I'm trying to give an answer, but not really giving it. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but I like letting things being open, so people, all what they read, they can make their own judgment. As a writer, as a novelist, I think it is not my role, it is not my duty to tell people what to think. I think they read, they experience things, they have they create a strong relationship with characters, and after that I prefer letting things being open. And I think that in that book, that's what I've done. Some readers actually wrote to me after their reading, and they were like, you cannot let us like that with the ending of the book, you know. And I was very happy. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want you to do the job yourself. I didn't want to do it for you. So yeah, they will choose their side of the story, let's say.
Yeah, I think for me, just like you're saying, a book should really raise questions and get you to think even further beyond the book, and make your own answers. Thank you for that. So, in terms of coming back to you, I would love to hear some anecdotes, some funny things maybe that have happened, things that you have learned through working at Petrosen and in your previous companies and in your personal venture. Maybe one or two anecdotes and lessons learned from life through those anecdotes.
Oh, okay. Just one anecdote, which is very fresh from Algeria. You know, when we go there, like we are invited by our homologues from Sonatrach, which is the national oil and gas company of Algeria, and Sonatrach is like a state in the state. Sonatrach is 100,000 employees, is $60 billion of turnout. It's
Wow.
It's the biggest African companies, all fields combined.
Yeah.
Number one in Africa. Yeah. And so when we arrive at the airport, we are picked up by guys of Sonatrach. There is you know, a police vehicle opening the road for us, etc. So you feel like head of state, you know. And I've already been to Algeria last year, so I know the protocol. But my colleagues this time, it was the first time for them, and for I think the majority of them, we were 5, and for the 4 of them, it was the first time that they had, you know, a motorcade opening the road for them, and they were like, no, being a president must be something. And I was like, you guys, we're just engineers and you're getting excited just because we have one police car vehicle opening the road for us. So you see these things, and when you think about it, it's just because you represent your country that you have this honor. If you're like just a random guy coming to Algeria, you're the same person, but you're not wearing the same hat. So with the hat of Petrosen, you actually represent Senegal. And when I say represent Senegal, it's not only the current Senegal. It's all the story of Senegal back in history. It's the different presidents that we had. Is the writers that we have, the likes of Ken Bougoul, Boris Diop. It's the culture. It's our economists. It's Maktar Diop from IFC, Amadou Maktarmo. It's all those things, all those stories. You represent that, and you have to know. So this is also something that is very strong that you learn from working for a national company. But also writing this book, I have many anecdotes. One of those is, I may never have said it before, but you know, in the book I make a sort of testimony for my love of kora, because I think kora is such a beautiful instrument. The sounds it creates are absolutely magical to me. Yeah. And when I was writing the book, I actually I went to France, but I just finished writing that part of the book where I praise kora, and in that part I write about Ablaye Sissoko, you know, which is a kora player. Yes. And I would say, I think in French, main virtuose d'Ablaye ou Kandia, de Djeli Moussa ou Sona, de Sousso, de Baleke Toumani. That's what I write. And I go to the airport, right in Roissy, Charles de Gaulle. I meet Ablaye Sissoko in the train of Roissy, and I tell him, sir, I'm a fan of yours. I listen to your music. I'm writing a book, and your name is mentioned in the book. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm very happy. I would love to read that book, etc. It was, I already saw him on stage, you know, I think twice. And that day I met met him, so we discussed, and it was yeah, it was also very funny. So just two anecdotes, one for the hard work and the other one for the literature and poetry.
Yeah, and it connects people. And Ablaye Sissoko is an amazing. For those who don't know him, go and listen to his music. Amazing chorus.
Yeah.
I think that's core player. One of the best. One of the
Yeah.
best in Africa.
One of the best.
So you are in your life from time to time a public speaker. You are at forums in different places where you have to speak in front of people, maybe even in front of cameras. How do you prepare? How do you prepare when you are a public speaker, whether you are sitting on a panel at a conference or whether you are a motivational speaker?
Listen, I think the best way to prepare for a speech is to master your story, to know what you will have to say. If you will talk about energy and oil and gas, and you have to enlighten people about that or explain them technical things, you have to be rock solid on your topic, to know your figures, to know the concepts, so you can deliver them at ease. Because I think the enemy of the public speaker is hesitation and not being solid on what you are going to say. No matter the amounts of tricks and things that Gilles Acogny can teach you, so you know how to stand in front of people, how to master your voice, how to look at people, how to be firm on your ground. It won't help you if you don't know your topic. I think this is the first thing, and this is how I try to prepare, to know my craft. Of course, having had the opportunity to talk with you, to benefit from your long experience in public speaking, now I'm trying to be more, let's say, firm on the ground, to move less, to have a positive face, to look at people in the eyes, all those little things that I knew partially, but I also learned a lot from you, and I have to say that in front of people who listen to this. So this is maybe just the techniques, the rhetorical techniques, but they came on top of solid preparation on what you have to say. This is for me the main way to have good public speeches.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and thank you for the congratulations that you said in my direction. A couple more questions, and if somebody has a question, this is the right time to ask it, so we can cover it. What's next for you? What's next?
Oh, that's a very tough question. I think many people, after 3 or 4 years doing the same job, you question yourself. Maybe you may do something else, something new. I think I am in that zone. I may keep doing what I'm doing right now because it's an honor to work for your country, to be part of history, actually, because we are building an oil and gas industry in Senegal, and it is very exciting for a person like me, who is not young anymore, because I'm 37 now, but I'm still learning things. I am still growing as a professional, as another person. But I think what is clear for me in the next years to come is that I will publish another novel. I suffered to write this one, but I think I love that. So I'm gonna do it again. Yeah. And There's another obsession, because I think we only write on things that are obsessing us. Another obsession in my head is the thinking of Batolojola. I think this is something that we did not treat enough in Senegal in all the aspects. The trauma it is for some families, for the whole Casamance region, and as we have a very, very young population today, the median age in Senegal is 19 years old. So the sinking of that boat was back in 2002, 26th of September. So more than half of the Senegalese people were not born when we lost that ship, and the almost 2,000 people who died in it. So I think this is my next move intellectually. My next challenge is to know the story in and out in all the aspects. Talk to people, talk to survivors, read reports. I actually already started to do that, and build a story around it, so we can better do the memory duty on that topic. And I hope that I will do it in the next 2 years, inshallah, as we say, and I hope that it will help keep vivid the memory of the people and the memory of that terrible accident that happened in Senegal. So this is something that I want to do, and I will do, inshallah, if I am in good health. And I think that after that I'll get into politics. Yeah, I think I'll be getting formally into politics. Try to propose to people new ideas, new ambitions, try to capitalize on all this, the opportunity of working in the administration, the different books that I've read, the different senior people that I discussed with, the different experiences that I had on the ground as a Senegalese people, being in associations, being a local actor for my community. You know, all those things, I want to gather them, inject them into politics, and then let's see what is the outcome in the next years to come. So I think this is the next 3 moves. I would say professional move, maybe intellectual move with the second novel, and also public move with politics in the next years to come.
Excellent. Thank you. I have one last question. If there are no questions from the public, which is, with all the experience you have, what would you give three advice to your younger self, your 20-year-old Fary Ndao? Knowing what you know today, what 3 advice would you give to Fary Ndao younger?
Okay. Dude, you must read more novels that you're doing currently. Yeah, read more novels, definitely. I think that I missed something, not reading enough novels, because I think that it's a very powerful way to convey ideas, actually, not only emotions, which is the core of any fiction, be it movies or series or plays or novels. Emotions are at the core of it, but ideas also can be conveyed by fiction. And I was like, novels are useless, and you just need to know history books, politics books, economic books, energy books. But this was not a very clever thinking of my of my 20 or so years old self. So first thing, read more novels. The second thing, change the way. I think I am still that energetic, guy, very curious, happy to meet people, happy to do new things. I don't regret the life that I've had in the last 15 years. I am very happy with the experience that I had doing slam, spoken word poetry, having not a soul spot, university life, because I did a bachelor, then I went back to do a first year computer science class that I actually did not manage to finish, and then I went back to geoscience, where I did an engineer diploma. So my, let's say I've had my engineering diploma at 26. I could have had it at 24, but those 2 years that I lost, I did so many other things, met so many other people that I don't regret them. Actually, in a way, yeah, it delayed or it cost me, let's say, 2 years of salary, but never mind. I'm very happy. I've had the salary of life by meeting people, and so I wouldn't change my mindset of being curious, being a multitasking guy. So this I would recommend him to keep. And maybe the last thing, I would say, yeah, do better in terms of getting in touch with your family, with your friends. Even if social networks, they'll help you, to keep the contact, but it's a passive way to keep a contact. Social networks, we see pictures, we see people, more or less we put one like or one share from time to time, but there has been a sort of dehumanization of the relationships, and I think that I would definitely tell to my younger self to do better in that. So this is my 3 advices. I don't know if they are from big value, but knowing that 15 or 17 years ago, I think I would have done slightly better.
Yeah, they're definitely of great value. Thank you for that. We're going to end with just a comment from somebody. I think the person is referring, it's Hassan Funun, who's referring to your comment about doing some research on the sinking of the boat. He says, I agree with you, but sometimes it's better to not be back or go back to this type of bad events. I prefer to sensitize or sensibilize, he said, community about that. So responsible of security, people responsible of security in Senegal, remember to respect the norm, because there is a big problem with respecting the norms on this this tragedy, which I believe is one of the biggest tragedy in the history of boat sinking in the world. Actually, we got more death, I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, than the Titanic.
You're 100% spot on. We had more deaths in Jola than in Titanic. Yeah. So this is a point of view that I respect. But as an artist, which I am when I write novels, I think it is not my duty to make people respect the norms or remind them to be respectful of the norms. Other artist, what I have to do is convey emotions. And if emotions help people or help the political leaders or the people that the people who have to the law, if it helps them, give them more accuracy about their duty or what they have to do, I would have managed to do my thing, you know. So for me as an artist, I think I have to revisit this thing, not only being sad because it's a human story. So of course it's a tragedy, but I mean, people who have been people that we lost there, they had lives, they were happy people, they had family, and I will try to convey that too. But I think, and this is the way that we will show how tragic that sinking was, by showing that it is just normal people, just like us, that we lost there. They are not just numbers, they are people. And by doing that, if I convey enough emotions, I think that it may help to achieve the result that Hasna is asking for. So I'll do my thing, and maybe we'll see how it unfolds from there.
And the beautiful thing about being an artist is you don't let anything limit you. You're respectful, as you said, about everybody's opinion, but you have to do your own thing, which at the end of the day will touch everybody emotionally, which is really what's important. Thank you very much, my dear friend, for this. I want to thank the public. Merci à tous. Pour ceux qui sont plutôt francophones, merci d'avoir suivi ce dernier Acosphere Instagram Live pour l'année 2024. Nous sommes ravis que tu aies pu te joindre à nous, Fary, pour cette occasion. Je vois Nadia qui dit I totally agree with you, Fary. As a people, we must learn to talk about painful matters. En parlant du sujet précédent. Merci. Donc, thank you for being here, everybody, to listen to a very, very interesting live. You have a beautiful story to say. You're just the same. You're very aligned. You know, in whatever circumstances I meet you, you don't put masks. You take the mask down, and you're just yourself. And that's something I really like. A nice interview, says Mamadou Diop. Thank you for that. Thank you, Fary. Et à très bientôt.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Gilles. Thank you, Nadia. Keep shining and doing beautiful things with Acosphere. Et je remercie tout le monde d'être resté, et à bientôt.
Salut.
Oui.
Very inspiring, says Sawada. Thank you, Sawada. Everybody. Au revoir.